So first, we're just going to start off. Let's talk about your background. So, kind of what we were just talking about. What were you doing career-wise? When did you get to Hammett? You can talk about your wife and just a little bit about your background.
Okay. Uh, Start off, heck, I started working in this country in '74, right after I graduated high school. Went out, ranch out here at Double Anchor Ranch, and kind of bummed around a little bit, a lot of high school work there a couple years and enjoyed it, and they treated me like family. I mean, I was, part of their family, and to this day, I am still, the kids have grown up, and Lynn and them are still good friends of mine. It's pretty cool when you can call your boss, your ex-boss, as a reference from when you come out of high school and you're 64 years old, and he's 82, I think is what he is.
Yeah.
And his boys are doing real good. And the neighbors that we had back then are still my friends and neighbors to this day. Tom and Joy Gill, they're another one that lived out on Bennett Creek and out there. And then I came into town after working out there at Riggs's, and come into town, and I worked at the old sawmill. There used to be a sawmill in Mountain Home, and I worked there 4 or 5 years. And the problem with sawmill life is it was only 8 hours a day, and I'm used to working daylight to dark, and they didn't have, they paid overtime, and I took all the overtime I could, but still, so I started stacking hay for Ireland's, and I worked for Ireland's for a while, helping them, just helping them while I worked at the sawmill. And then David Ireland got in a wreck and was killed, and that kind of changed things for me. I figured I better get it together. So in 1981, I moved to King Hill on a ranch, and worked there and helped this old boy work on his dream. For 25 years I was there. Carla was there. We got married in '83, and my boy was born in '85. And he grew up on that ranch, and then when Jim and Margaret got ready to, they were just too old to play the game, I guess, the farming. There was just him and I mean, I had quite a few cows and a feedlot and everything. And so he sold the ranch, and I had the opportunity to stay there, but just wasn't going to be the same. That was in 2006, and got hooked up with Terry Ketterling at the time, and he offered me a job, and it turned out to be one good job. And I started at the bottom and quickly rose to the occasion, and he treated me really well, and I've been there 15 years. It'll be 15 years next month, and
do you want to go into kind of more details for the last 15 years? What was a day-to-day, you got to work, and what did you do every day?
The day-to-day was whatever the challenge of the day was. It could be helping them with the pivot, it could be welding mainline, it could be working on a truck. And when I went to work for Terry, he started growing. I mean, he really started growing. Like a year or so after I went to work for him. I mean, we were farming, Terry's farming 10,000 acres up there in Mountain Home, and he's milking 10,000 cows. So the farm was kind of, working for the dairy more or less. It was a good market. Didn't have to go very far to market your crops, and it worked out real good. And I just worked at everything from I wasn't doing so much of the farming, dirt work farming, but I was getting the tractors ready, uh, changing oil in the tractors. They're putting so many hours on that keep people moving.
So would you say that your job, it was a lot of grunt work? So get your hands dirty, a lot
Yeah.
of physical work put into your job every day.
What it turned into was I ended up being like a working farm manager, and I liked the work. Uh, I could be helping guys, like I say, with the main line blown out, welding main line, just anything on the farm or they had. And then I started working over towards the dairy and helping more with the dairy and going back and forth. And it eventually worked out that the farm became a maintenance crew to the dairy, which is how Terry kept the entire crew working year round instead of, farming's done and some people lay off, and some people take vacations, but we are year round 24/7, And when I was there, like I say, it was, there was almost too much to list. Anything that needed to be done, I was the one they called to find the right guy. Many times didn't have to be me that are on the farm. And but as we started building, if you ever go out there to Terry's, or I'd give you a tour of it, it's a great place. There's so much building that we've done that the maintenance crew is on call all the time now. And
would you say that then, because your job required a lot of physical activity, that you were in good health because physical health, because you were just you were moving your body every day?
I was crawling under those trucks, showing people, teaching them about trucks, trying to educate them. A lot of the help you get nowadays doesn't, they don't know it. So heck, at 64, I'd be crawling under from one end of that truck to the other, helping them. They could be broke down anywhere, and my job was to get it back to the shop safe and nobody get hurt, and get the equipment fixed. And whether it be a chain, I could be in the back of a manure truck shoveling the manure out with those guys.
Yeah.
And sometimes there'd be 4 or 5 guys, and I'd say, hey boys, I'm in there, and I'd shovel side by side, shoulder to shoulder with any one of them. And I'd say, we're 10 minutes on, and the next crew shovel like a gopher in loose dirt,
Yeah.
And it could have been a manure truck. We haul cleaning pens. It could be a silage truck, could break the floor chains. And it was just working day to day with everybody, from the president, Terry, his son, Tony, all the way down to, I don't consider any of them the lowest guy because you need the whole team to get the job done. It's not going to be Doug's going to get it done, or Terry's going to get it done. It's going to be a team effort every time, and the team working together, and and I was good enough with all those people, and when I said, come on, let's go, the age thing didn't kick in. I was physically able to shovel all day with them, sweat with them, and every season,
And so let's now kind of move on to the timeline of everything. So your wife Carla sent me this timeline, and I had a chance to look over it. So you're doing all of this grunt work, heavy lifting, doing, physical, hard working job. And you got your shot on the COVID-19 vaccine, the Johnson & Johnson shot, on April 5th of 2021.
Right.
Now, before leading up to this, were you still going to work and
Oh, yeah.
still just
Yeah.
physical, great health?
I was working, as a matter of fact, well, the 5th was a Monday, and the 5th of April was a Monday. And heck, I was setting pipes out here, moving lines on my own place. I got a little farm, you know, I work on everybody else's dreams,
Yeah.
and with the money I get from that, I work on my dreams. And had cattle and everything, and yeah, I'd go down the canyon and check cows and move pipe. I was I was about as physical as you
On
get.
April 5th of this year, you got the COVID-19 vaccine, and you chose to get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So what made you decide to get that vaccine in the first place?
Well, what was going on is they came up to the dairy, and it must have been payday on the 1st. No, it was probably the 15th of March that they said, we're going to have Desert Sage come out to the dairy, and when you hand out checks, I handed out checks too, and ask people if they want the shot. So I said, well, okay.
So who's asking you if you want the shot?
Well, the office, the
Okay.
TLK. They said, just take the paper, whoever wants it, you know, don't. So I said, well, I'll ask them, but I'm not gonna, you know, pressure them one way or the other. And so I put my name down there, and because Terry was kind of sick, and you know, I mean, you just kind of think you should or something, you
Did
know.
you think that you felt influenced by other outside
Well,
sources, like the media, politicians, or
A little
just
bit of
kind
everything.
Okay.
A little bit of everything. Yeah, I think, you know, everything you read, everything you hear, it's pushing you one way, and you think, God dang, you know, but I don't see anybody. Honestly, I didn't know anybody who had it. I didn't know anybody who'd been around it. I didn't know anybody who was sick, and I knew nobody who had died. You know, all this stuff, I didn't see any of it. So I didn't. I heard about this, you know, boy, in Iowa this happened, but nobody said in Owyhee County or Ada County or Gooding County, you know, somewhere that I would know. And I didn't see it.
You didn't see the
I did not
deaths happening.
see it. I did not know anybody personally, and just didn't, you know, I think, God dang, they talk about it, but there's no, you know, there's no positive, negative. And then I looked up the death rate in Idaho. I looked it up, Google. I looked it up in 2018, 19, and 20. And come to find out, I don't know what statisticians, what college they went to, but I know what school I went to, the Hard Knocks. And believe me, 2 and 2 is 4.
Yes.
You know, so I came to the conclusion, I didn't come up with the numbers. Google had the numbers for the world to see. So in Idaho, I believe that in 18 and 19, there were X number of people died, which was pretty close to the same. In 2018, 2019, the numbers were pretty close to the same. Of dying from cancer and pneumonia and the flu and car wrecks, suicides. They listed the whole deal, you know. But in 2020, Nobody died of cancer.
Hmm.
Nobody died of suicide.
Or the flu.
Nobody, I mean, they cured it.
Yep.
The COVID cured all of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think right now, when the pandemic started in Idaho, we're sitting at 2,800 deaths from COVID related. And that's from the COVID-19 dashboard that Idaho has for the public to see. I think the last time I checked, it was just a little bit over 2,800. So so you got the shot, the Johnson & Johnson, on April 5th. Now what happened did you feel any effects that moment? Did it take until the next day? Walk me through that. So after you got the shot.
I got the shot, walked into the office, got the shot along with other people. There was
Sorry, where did you get your shot?
at the TLK office at the TLK farm.
Okay.
Desert Sage Health Clinic, or whatever they are, Desert Sage, came out. They had a whole fleet of people out there, and apparently there was a lot of people signed up. I don't know how many people from the farm. When I was given the list, boy, I heard all kinds of stuff, you know, and I can remember giving the list back to the office. And they said, "This is it," and I go, "This is it. And if you want to go talk to them people, you go talk to them."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "I've heard everything," and I had. I told them, I says, "You know, I'm not pushing this. You know, you don't need to tell me anything.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what your opinion is to me. I'm not selling this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
You're not selling in a way if people don't want to
Yeah.
get it, they don't.
They don't want it. They don't want it.
Okay.
If they said to me, "What do you think?" I said, "I don't think, man. This is your deal.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. It should be someone's choice.
I'm not."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Here it is. You don't want it. You don't want it." And a lot of people, I do believe, I don't remember exactly, but I think there might have been 5, and I was one of the 5 or
Okay.
6, you know.
So you got the shot, and then what happened?
Got the shot, and everything seemed to be okay, and they give you a paper, you know, with a list of side effects.
Mm-hmm.
So the next day, I'm at my place there feeding the calves, got the grandkids with me, and god dang, all of a sudden I'm walking along and I peed my pants, you know.
This is the next day?
The next day, and I didn't even know it. I mean, it just, and I thought, geez, what is going on? So I started kind of assessing what's going on. ED was one thing, that was the next thing, and I'm thinking, man, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not.
Did you feel like lightheaded, dizzy,
No, never.
aches?
I had a whole list of that kind of stuff: nausea, diarrhea, a whole list. So I go to work on Wednesday, I think it was, and I said to Tom, who happens to be the farm shop manager, and he's more than that. He's like me. He's more than that. But I walk into him and I says, "Ah, dang, Tom," I says, "you know, they give me this list of all these side effects," and I says, "I could write a damn book of side effects." Mm-hmm. And I said, "Everything they got on this paper, I ain't got none of them."
Can you explain a little bit more of the side effects that you were feeling besides loss of bladder control?
Loss of bladder control, my hips felt like, the best I can compare it to is if you were in, the old seat belts, you just had come around,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't have the shoulder straps. The old ones just, and if you pulled them too tight, you were stuck in there.
Yeah.
And God, it hurt. If you rode too long, your hips were sore. Well, it felt like somebody had a ratchet strap on my hips. And
So it another very tight?
Like
pressure?
It felt like, just like you had a strap around, and somebody was pulling it tight. So when you were walking, it just felt like, God dang, you know, it was just squeezing you. And I do a lot of walking in and out of pickup all the time. And just little things started, and I'm thinking, well, you know, you're getting older, you know. And I
Something
just,
that drastic, excuse me, to happen.
but
just
it only
within a
happened
day.
once. The bladder deal only happened the one time. And then
Interesting.
everything seemed to be okay, and I'm thinking, well, you know, just shrug it off. Because prior to this, I don't have a doctor. I didn't have a doctor. I didn't have anything wrong. The only pills I'd take is maybe ibuprofen if I'd been lifting too many tires or something. You know, that's about it at the end of the day. But I'm not on blood pressure medicine or nothing. I was high on life, you know, and
so these effects are happening, and then are they getting worse?
they seem to be getting worse. And then
When did you think so your symptoms are getting worse, and then when did you became actually paralyzed?
I went to the ER on the Sunday, which might have been the 11th. I don't know when Sunday was. I got the shot on Monday.
So April 5th.
On April 5th, and then Sunday I went to the ER in Mountain Home.
So April 11th, it looks like. Okay.
And I told him, I says, hey man, I says, something's going on. And I said, you need to test me for COVID. And you're okay. You ain't got COVID.
And they know that you got the vaccine. When you went in,
Yeah,
you said,
I
got
told
the
them.
vaccine,
Yeah.
and tell them these effects have been happening to me.
Yep.
And they didn't want to test you for COVID.
Finally, they tested me.
Okay, what did they say? So you get into the hospital and you're explaining what's going on. Then what happens?
Then they start checking me over, and then my wife called and said, hey, I tested positive for COVID. Did you test him yet? Now I'm in the emergency. I mean, I've come from the lobby where I asked for the test first, and then I'm laying in the emergency room and got all these people around me, and then all of a sudden they go somewhere, and must have been when Carla called, and this guy's standing there, and I said, you gonna give me the COVID test, or, you know, you don't need it, you're all right.
Did you ever get tested for COVID before you got the shot?
No. Now, you brought that up, and I'm gonna tell you, and whoever watches this, whoever hears this is gonna be my soapbox speech, okay? And it's short and it's sweet. I don't care who you are at all. I don't care if you like the shot, you don't like the shot. I'm not preaching to nobody. I'm saying if you choose to get the shot, any shot, I highly recommend you get tested, the rapid test for COVID before you take the shot. Because the rapid test is immediate, and I don't know that I'm thinking that's what they say. But the other one that takes 2 days, you could be exposed in those 2 days, and I worry that, to me, the rapid test, then get your shot. And had I had the rapid test, and if they said, hey, you got COVID, there ain't no way I'd ever touch that shot. No way. And
Why?
because I'd have been afraid they're gonna, what happens? Because
Something's-
nobody had ever said, hey, don't worry, if you got COVID, this will take care of it. But it seems to me that I don't know for sure that I had COVID.
When you got
I don't know for sure.
vaccine?
But I know by the end of the week, I tested positive for COVID. So I don't know, if you get the shot, do you test positive right away for COVID?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm not vaccinated.
Nobody's ever said anything. So, but if anybody ever gets a shot, I would pray that they get the rapid test, and if somebody doesn't want to pay for the rapid test, the money that has been spent on me since the 5th of April could buy 1 million rapid tests, easy, you know.
Do you think that, I'm going to ask you a pretty straightforward question. Do you think that the COVID-19 vaccine that Johnson & Johnson produced is a reason that you are in a wheelchair today?
Oh yeah, no question whatsoever. And I've had a couple doctors actually say it, one put it in writing. I was down at Salt Lake, and the infectious disease guys said, it's looking like the shot.
Mm-hmm.
And
so kind of, explain that, because, I don't want to get too political right now, because that's not what it's about. I want to say that, you got the vaccine. It's about process of elimination. You were going to work every day. You seemed healthy. You obviously are not on any medications.
Right.
You get this vaccine, and then this happens to you. So it's, to people, how can you say it's anything else?
Right.
And especially when a doctor, so you have a doctor that actually said, does he say, I think, I believe, or the vaccine did this to you?
He said it was a vaccine.
Okay.
And then I also asked the same doctor, as a matter of fact, I said to him, hey doc, I talked to him, like they're just people like me. And I said, if you were me, I said, what do you think on that booster deal? And he goes, what? And I go, there's going to be a booster deal. I said, this is a money deal. This is business. Mm-hmm. I said, you call it whatever you want. I said, I'm telling you, it's business. What are you going to do on the booster? And he goes, I wish you'd have never asked me that question. And I go, well, what's going to happen to me? I said, let's say, I don't want to get political either, but that's what, this thing's about, politics and money.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think that?
Because I ain't getting no help. And it's like I've talked to senators here, and
what do you want to say to actually, because you brought up that Governor Brad Little wants people in Idaho to get the vaccine, other politicians in Idaho, and this is, what do you want to say to them?
What I called Brad Little today, and apparently he's somewhere, I don't know. And I told the secretary, she said, well, you want to leave a message? Yes, I do. I just want 5 minutes of his undivided attention so I can tell him what I think. And what I was going to tell him, of course he hasn't called me back yet, but I'm still waiting, I want to tell him, he needs to tell people that they should get the test first. If you're going to tell somebody to get that shot, you don't know what they got, where they've been. You're just throwing them to the dogs, man. You got to have some, and I'm not saying this is perfect. I'll swear, I'm not saying it's perfect. God damn, I wish they'd have gave me the test. I wish they'd have said, you got to do the rapid test first. But they didn't. And I don't know how many more people are out there, just like me, that maybe they died. Maybe they died. Maybe I'd have died if I hadn't woke up 4 hours after I went to bed. Maybe I'd have been dead. Maybe it would have just kept on going. I don't know. And ain't no doctor, I don't care who they are, going to tell me one way or the other. The problem is I didn't die. I'm still alive. And my spinal cord swelled up, and it went all the way to my neck, And they say that I was paralyzed from the neck down at one time. And when it swelled up, and then it hemorrhaged. And I've learned a lot about this stuff in the last 105 days of prison or hospital, whatever you want to call it. I was under their roof. But the spinal cord didn't hemorrhage and blow out the spinal cord. It blew out everything inside the spinal cord, all the nerves and everything. And now my spinal cord is like Swiss cheese, and it could take a while for them electricians inside here somewhere to get it all together. Mm-hmm. And hopefully they wire it up that, I don't go to kick something with my left foot and the right foot does it. I don't know what's going to happen, mm-hmm. But I know that from the diaphragm down, I have no feeling, no nothing. Mm-hmm. And they tell me it's 2 centimeters a week at best. So that gives me a little over a year and a few weeks, mm-hmm. So, and I still have hope. Got a lot of people praying for me, and mm-hmm. I'm planning on going back to work and trying to be an asset to society instead of a person on the dole. I don't want to be on the dole. Mm-hmm. I could be on Social Security, but I don't really want to be on Social Security. That was not my plan, mm-hmm. to be on Social Security and or on the dole. I don't want to be on the dole, and I want to earn my keep and be proud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I'm gonna ask you another hard question. I'm sorry, I tear up very easily, so I apologize.
It's something to tear up about.
My heart just breaks for you. If you could go back and do it again, and you had that choice, what would you do? What would you do differently?
I wouldn't get the shot.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't get the shot.
Would you, maybe I should have phrased that question a little bit better. Would you, did you do research? I'm going to ask you that first about the vaccine.
Not really. I don't think I really did, other than I remember talking, I'd rather get 1 shot than 2,
mm-hmm.
That was,
Yeah.
No, I didn't really do a lot of research on it, and probably should have.
Is that something that you wanted to tell the people to maybe, I know you said maybe get tested for COVID before getting the vaccine.
I would highly recommend before they get the shot, if anybody is deciding to, they should do some research. They should do some history of themselves, of some of this stuff, what I'm finding out from the doctors, and I have seen some good ones down there in Salt Lake. They had some good teams. They weren't just one guy show up. It was a team, mm-hmm. showed up, and they came neurology, infectious disease, a whole tribe, would show up, and they would talk about history, family history of autoimmune or what, and I didn't know a lot of this stuff because mm-hmm. I never needed, mm-hmm. I was never sick to.
Yeah.
They said, well, who's your family doctor? And I said, well, I go to Doc in a Box, and that, you can't have that. And that's where I go, mm-hmm. And go up there to Boise on Broadway or, and go in there, nice guys, heck, they do everything I need to do and have, they'll x-ray your lungs or whatever you need done. But I was good, I didn't have COVID pneumonia. They checked me for that, and I told them, I says, I got the heart of a Olympic swimmer and the lungs of a Serpa. Is that what it is? Is that what they're called?
I'm not sure.
The guys on Mount Everest.
Okay, I was a swimmer, so we have great hearts and lungs.
I don't know what they are, but
yeah.
Sherpa, something.
Mhm.
Anyhow, that's what I told them. I said, and they come in and they check my heart, they check my lungs. Yeah, everything's okay.
And you have told me a little bit about how your life has changed drastically. Do you want to go into that a little bit more of, your day-to-day daily activities, what, the hardships that you have to go through now?
It's tough. You know, I left home when I was young, and I started working, and I graduated, and I was welcome at my home too, but it was just kind of a, some kids just need some other stuff, so I left home early and started riding. That's back in the day, back in the 70s. There were a lot of racetracks around, and worked up there. And this guy had racetrack, old Leonard Robertson up there, and they used Mountain Home. He had a little place, and I'd ride his horses for him, clean stalls, and there were hundreds of kids back then, hundreds, throughout Glens Ferry and up in the Boise Valley. There were just hundreds of kids. They were all good kids, and they got along good. They were just shoveling manure and riding horses, race horses and stuff. And it was a great thing to be around as a kid, and you were working. You weren't making any money, but everybody was getting along and working hard, and so then you start working, and then I had a dream, and my dream was I want to end up with 40 acres, 40 cows, and a part-time job. I wanted my kid to go to school in the same school from 1 to 12. And that's what we did. Carla and I, we got married, we waited, saved up a little money, and had Heath, and he went to the same school from day one. And he went to school with the same kids. And I was military brat, I guess you'd call them, We bounced around all over. So, friends were kind of tough. You'd have a friend, and then one day, hey, see ya. And then, a week later, you're in another country, and you don't know anybody. And I didn't want my kid to do that. So I told Carla I wasn't bouncing around jobs, we're just going to stay here. And we stayed on the ranch, and it was good. It all worked out really, really well. Heath went to college, got a job. He's a civil engineer at Mount St. Helens.
Wow.
And doing way better than I was, when I was his age. And that was the plan. And
You seem like you and Carla gave him a great
we worked
life.
at it. I mean, Dirk Kempthorne was governor back then when Heath was in high school, and I can remember him saying to me one day, we were up there, and we'd go up there all the time. Hell, a nice guy. I mean, just go up there, call him up, and sit up there in the office and visit with him. And I was just a poor guy. I mean, I didn't think I had anything. And he asked me, he said, well, Doug, what are you hoping for? And I said, boy, I hope Pete gets good scholarships, because I don't have the money to send him. And I'd like him to go to good school. And so he talked to me, and he said, you can send him to any school you want. And until he said that, I never believed it. And we did. We sent him, we tried to get him into, he tried to get into military academy. And that Elliott kid out of Bliss got the got the nomination instead. Heath ended up going to the U of I, and it worked out great for him.
Still a great
you know,
school.
and me too. I mean, it worked out. I can't say how well. I mean, it was great. He did get scholarships. You know, he was good at school. His mom pushed him pretty good in school to read, and I helped him as much as I could in math, and he went on to, he needed math, but I'll tell you, the math these guys do now, like what he does, is, I was lost at about his 4th grade math, you know. I told him, boy, I'll tell you, you're getting into stuff that I don't know nothing about, you know.
Yeah.
So, but he did good. And,
So this has been affecting your family.
oh yeah, when I went into the hospital on the 15th, it was a day or two later, a week maybe, we had cows, and Carla couldn't take care of the cows. I used to take care of the cows like on the weekends, and then after work, if I see trouble or something, go fix fence or try to do something and keep everything going. And that was part of my dream, was to have my 40 cows and 40 acres. Well, I think I got 35 acres, and had probably 40 cows. And I'm thinking I'm about there, you know. And then this happened, and I told Carla I could see it was just too much for her, you know, to try to be with me and take care of this. So I called up some friends, Ireland's and Bill, and I said, gather them up, Bill, and peel off the heifers. We'll try to keep the heifers just in case I can walk again. And I just bought a new bull, and I said, sell everything else, get rid of them. And then it's just something away from my mind. It's gone, and so she did. She sold them, and I'd already bought hay and everything. I mean, I was ahead of the game on that, and so we'll see. I told Carla that we'd put the money in the bank, and then if I can walk by Christmas, then I could take the money out, and I wouldn't have to pay taxes on it, you know, because now this is all coming as income.
Yeah.
And going to have to pay taxes. They're going to say, hey man, you're just rolling in the money. But now I talked to my accountant today, and she says, well, you know, all that money that Carla's been going up to see you, you can't count that on your taxes. And I said, I'll tell you what, we are going to put it on our taxes. We are going to claim it. And I said, I'm going to argue with whoever. I said, but I needed an advocate. And I couldn't talk when you're intubated in ICU. You can't talk. You see stuff. They give you medicine for, whew, it is a scary, scary place to be. And I don't ever want to go back there. I go anywhere besides ICU. And so Carla's been, the neighbors have been really good. When I say neighbors, I got neighbors 100 miles away. You know, people that I knew, people that I haven't seen in 20 years want to help. And the neighbors we got here, they're really good. They're helping me all they can. And I'm one who, I'm a giver, I'm not a taker. It's hard for me to, how do you thank people? You know, you can't pay them enough. You can't thank them properly. I don't know what to do. That's probably my biggest problem right now, is how to thank people.
I think just the story alone of what you're explaining in your life, I think that you've already given a lot to our community in Idaho alone. So this is your time to receive. So
Well,
that's how I look at it.
I don't know, like I say, I want to help people, you know, give back. I don't know how, and I told Carla, I says, how do you think for people sending money, Bibles that pray for you, and you don't know, I just wanted to, my whole life, I've been working on other people's dreams and helping people. I don't care if I know them, don't know them, don't matter to me. I just, if I got a chance to help them, I'll help them. It's how we raise a kid, same way, and it's how we raise grandkids too,
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. I know that, I watched that video that you put on the GoFundMe page, and you do have grandkids, correct? How does that affect you? You said that you had great plans of spending the summer with them.
This was going to be, this was going to be the first year that the grandkids got to come down here. And I can remember sitting at this table with them a couple of weeks before this happened, and I told them, I said, now, boys, you kids gonna go to school when you come down here. I said, it ain't gonna be the little rodeo you've been having with your folks. This is gonna be, you go out there and we'll work and we'll have fun and you'll learn stuff, as you go. And there's so much to learn, little things to learn, and that people have taught me through the years. I mean, I've been blessed with some of the best teachers in the world, I guess, and I'm still learning from younger people and learning from older people. And this was going to be the year, and them kids, they got to riding. They've been doing a little riding, and went up to Redfish last year, and I told Carla, put that kid on a horse and let her, really ride, And then they come down here and they've been riding with old Polly Ireland up there, and that Sawyer says, they went to a rodeo, and she said, boy, I'd like to do that. And Polly said, okay. And so I'll be damned if Polly didn't get them in the rodeo, and I wish I'd have been able to see it. And Carla was down there, and I told her she was staying down there in Utah. And I said, hey, that rodeo's going, man. You need to go watch. And she said, well, I don't want to leave you. I said, hey, you go get a video of that, man. I'd love to be up there and just watch them, And, I don't care if they win or so. Anybody watches this, you don't have to worry about Sawyer breaking any records for a while. But she did the barrels, and I think it was 1.6 seconds. And never tipped over a barrel.
Yeah.
And then the next day, she shaved 5 seconds off.
Oh.
So. It's little things like that. That's what grandparents think is great.
Excuse me, I'm gonna grab
That's what I think is great. So they
Thank you.
we can share. But anyhow, it's been great having them here. I wanted, things I wanted to do with them we haven't been doing. I want to take them gopher trapping, take the dogs, and everybody goes, and we go trap a few gophers and just learn as you go what damage they do, or show them what a weed looks like and things like that. I'm supposed to get one of these track chairs, wheelchairs, this weekend, and then I can actually get out in the field and drag them along and help them.
So does have your doctors said that it just is going to take time for you to get all of your mobility back?
They don't commit, And I ask them, and when you do that, you really put them on the spot, and I think they do have enough compassion that they don't want to give you false hope, and I tell them I want the truth. I don't want a maybe, I want the truth. And they say, well, the truth is we don't know. And the truth is that your body can repair itself. And the truth is, if it repairs itself, it's going to take time. So my attitude is that, I'll walk someday and, might walk up to the pearly gates, I don't know. But I hope, and I'm sure everybody in my position hopes, if there is some hope, and I hope. I try to do everything right and try to get physical. When I come out of ICU, my arms they're just half of what they used to be. I almost ashamed of myself, but
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm just, because I have this question in mind, I don't want to forget to ask you. And I think it's really important for what the world and our country especially is going through right now, and even in Idaho. So the vaccine mandate. Now St. Luke's, St. Alphonsus, and Primary Health now have adopted where you have to get vaccinated in order to work at their hospitals. Let's talk about that. How do you feel about that?
well,
Vaccine mandates.
whoever mandated it wasn't treating me. They weren't treating me.
And you went to a St. Luke's.
I went to St. Luke's, and there were a lot of people in, I don't know if I was there 4 weeks or 5 weeks. Time thing is kind of, I was in the whole deal about 105 days.
And I'm guessing nurses and doctors, a lot of them saw you and saw what you are going through, and now they have this mandate in place.
And they know, they ask me. And a lot of this is, the nurses can't talk about your neighbor, what's happening, what happened to him, and they don't. But I was pretty, you could see it in them, and I'd say to whoever, the nurse or something, you want to know what happened? Yeah. Yeah, I want to know what happened. Well, here's the deal. I got the vaccine and got the Johnson & Johnson, and these people have seen stuff. They've seen stuff that I haven't seen. They've heard stuff that I haven't heard. So I think that anybody that has been around and working around people like me, I think they're going to have a tough time getting them to get the shot. But every one of them people that I talked to, I said, you get tested, rapid tested, before you get a shot. And I would highly recommend myself, stay away from the Johnson & Johnson. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, but it wasn't too good for me, but I don't know, and I heard a lot of stories from, there's a lot of them people in them hospitals, they've been through their own tragedies and things, and I don't want this to happen. I told Carla, and maybe it was a selfish thing that I did when I told her this, I said, I'm glad it was me that this happened to, and not, a 40-year-old guy with a couple kids, just maybe getting a foot in the door or something. I said, I've had a good life, and I didn't want it to end, I don't want it to end like this, but hopefully I'll get better, but I damn sure, you know, if somebody said, boy, we're gonna stick it to somebody, and I'd just soon it was me, than somebody who was younger and starting a family or something like that. Boy, that'd be tough. So
I think
So
it's tough for anybody. Doesn't
no,
matter the age.
but I can handle it. Carla's been really, really good. It's been pretty hard on her, but I've been all right. I'll do all right as long as I got her. I'll be okay.
Yeah.
And but yeah, the mandating any shot is, to me, is wrong. You know, I do believe that it's wrong, and I don't know the people that are preaching it. You know, they might have got it and they're okay. You know, but I'll bet you that I would bet money. I bet everything I had. As a matter of fact, that if I don't care if it's Joe Biden or the governor or whoever, if they got the shot and they ended up like me, there ain't no way in hell they were going to preach get the shot.
And I, you know, you bring a great, you know, example up of people that are preaching to get the vaccine. The media, politicians, they are telling everybody right now, encouraging them to become vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like to say to those people?
Why don't you put me up there with you, right next to you, and I could, we'll cuss and discuss, you know, and that's what I'd like to say, you know.
I'll get well and I'll get back on the road to helping other people. Try to pave my way to heaven. That's what I'm
definitely
doing.
are right now. Well, thank you so much, Doug, for you know, doing this interview with me. I really appreciate it.
Well, I
This means
appreciate
a lot to me.
Yeah, and I hope everybody who's watching, I hope they get something out of it, something good. Nothing else. Help somebody when they need some help. Just help them.